long have we been trying to make this happen? For a while now, right? Trying to get Kyle Brandt on the show, a guy who has been, if not first on the Seahawks bandwagon, certainly there along with probably Chris Long. The two people I think we've talked about that were really early on this Seahawks team being as good as they are. And he's kind enough to join us right now. Kyle, good morning. How are you?
I'm fired up to be here. Let's do it, guys. Hell yes.
Are you a 12? Kyle, are you a 12?
No. I'm not a 12.
Okay.
I would never call myself a 12. I have some family in Maple Valley that we go and visit, and we go blueberry picking, and we do all the wonderful things up there. And I was classically trained on Seattle grunge, but I'm not a 12. I'm just an admirer of the team.
All right. Well, it's nice to know that there is at least a little bit of a connection. I don't know whether we realized there was even a little connection, so that makes some sense. And maybe that helps to answer this question. I don't know. What got you onto this bandwagon initially this year?
Because I watched the team last year, and most of the world did not. Especially, listen, last year's team was 4-5. They go into a bye, and no one cared anymore. No one watched them. They wrote them off, and that's fine. But they don't know that they finished winning 6 of 8. They finished 10-7. I remember vividly watching that team last year win a game 6-3. It was like they had my attention, and I thought they were going to get in the playoffs, and they didn't. So they go away. And when it comes time when everybody in media does their thing where they pull up their pants and they say it with their chest and they make their playoff prediction teams, they're usually pretty lazy predictions. Just, go with Rams or Niners this year. Which one's it going to be? I don't know. Who knows? And I said, hold on a second. I like what this team did last year. I like their roster. I like that they run. I like that they play defense. I think Seattle's going to win the West. I do. And I don't love San Francisco. I don't love the Rams. It's also like the Seattle Seahawks, they not only nobody watched them the end of last year. Think about this. They got rid of their most famous player, DK Metcalf. So in terms of like a national media thing, you're like, well, he's gone. He was kind of fun and exciting. And then the guy that they bring in who's going to be the savior of this thing is Sam Darnold. And on his 4th team in the last 5 minutes. And there was no shine on it at all. And I said, I don't care. I believe in him, and I believe in the coach. And I picked him, and I'm glad I did.
What do you think of Mike Macdonald? What makes him tick from your perspective?
I just think it's so cool that he goes about his business in a low-profile way, and he's got this really legitimate resume, and he's done really cool things, and he plays defense, and he runs, and no one knows who the hell he is. And it's so funny to me. I always do like the Main Street test. So if you walk down Main Street in any town in the middle of the country or wherever it is, what head coaches would be stopped on the street and who wouldn't? If the most famous coach in the NFL right now is probably Andy Reid, and he'd get stopped every 5 seconds, Mike Macdonald would prance down the middle of the street and no one would even bother looking at him. I'm not even kidding. I think half the people on that street think Pete Carroll is still the Seahawks coach.
No.
I think they couldn't name Mike Macdonald. They probably think it's spelled like McDonald's the restaurant, which it's not. It's Macdonald with the lowercase d. No one even knows who he is. I love the Georgia background, and not even the football background, just an academic background. He seems like a guy who's very smart, who takes the game seriously. And I don't think he wants to be recognized on Main Street, but if he keeps winning, he will be.
You don't mean here in Seattle. I mean, people in Seattle know he's the coach. You mean elsewhere,
That's the
right?
only town.
Okay, elsewhere.
You could go to Kansas City.
Phew.
You could probably go to teams in the NFC West and they wouldn't know who he is. It's there, and Baltimore maybe, but I think that's pretty cool.
I probably shouldn't even tell you, but I did see him in the mall about a year ago, and nobody knew who he was. It's true. He was just walking around the mall, and he was doing some shopping, and I ran into him as a coach, and yeah, nobody else seemed to notice that Mike Macdonald
But that's what I like about him. He's also old school. This guy's still going to the shopping mall, and so are you, Salk. I love that you're not just doing it all on Amazon. Sometimes you got to go and get your hands dirty and go to the mall.
Yeah, especially before Christmas. You got to see what's out there.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the biggest strength? What is the biggest strength of this team?
Well, Darnold to Smith and Jigba. I mean, there's another thing about that like, the Smith and Jigba story right now is people are like, oh yeah, I have him in fantasy, or I went against him in fantasy, and he's really good. That is selling it so short. What is going on right here? He's got, not only is he leading the NFL in receiving yards, that's great, that's a wonderful thing. Have you seen this stat where Jamar Chase is second, right, in the league, and he's second by over 200 yards, and that is the largest margin between first and second through 10 weeks since 1970. There has never been a receiver, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Calvin Johnson, who was doing a lap around the other receivers in the league through 10 weeks like JSN is right now. It's so cool because there's 5 different stories with this team that are remarkable, and Darnold gets a lot of the headlines, and he deserves them. But what Smith-Njigba is doing as a guy who came out of college is like, yeah, he's good, but I don't know, is he fast enough? Is he big enough? Like, it's so much more than he's playing well or he's putting up good numbers. He's making people on defense look like idiots. He's making people who didn't draft him look like idiots, and he's, like, doing historic things. I just don't know where that chemistry came from. Like, out of the gates, you would have thought that Darnold had played with him, like, in Pee Wee football his whole life. Those two guys just feel it. And the funny thing is like, you guys know this, the Seahawks don't pass very much. Despite all that, they're not really a passing team. But when they do, it's just an incredible thing that's happened. You have to watch it. I hope people do.
This is so fun. Kyle Brandt is with us. Everything, Salk, everything we envisioned it would be. And then to know that he's picked blueberries in Maple Valley on top of it, I mean, it's just
huge news.
Icing on the cake.
Brock,
Years ago.
I picked the hell out of those blueberries. They had to tear me away from that thing. I got my money's worth on those blueberries. And like they cut me off like at the bar.
Yeah, that's enough. Okay, that's enough. You're a really good blueberry picker. All right, enough. Let's save some for the others. Years ago, Kyle, and when I started doing this, it may surprise you, I was a little naive, maybe a little gullible. I had very little cynicism before I worked with one Michael Salk. And I was back at ESPN in my early days, and I remember doing this College Football Live, and I felt so good about it. I made this case for Boise State and Kellen Moore, and I was so passionate being a Northwest guy, and I write stories about it. And one of my big bosses is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What am I doing?" He's like, why are you so on? Because they're good. They're really good. And I think they could beat Georgia. And he's like, "Do you know that we don't care? And that would not be great for ratings." Like, oh my gosh, really? Really? I mean, can't we just now, thankfully, the NFL is not like college football, and we play it out. And we don't have committees, and we don't have votes, and we don't do any of that stuff. But when you're in your production meetings now, and you're around town, and you're making the case, are people warming up to it around you?
No, not at all. And Brock, I love the story about Boise State. It's a perfect comparison, and I remember those Boise State teams well. I made the prediction. So Seattle is just annihilating Arizona, annihilating. Like, it's the game's over in the first quarter. It's shock and awe. It's just bombs going off everywhere. And I'm like, watch. ESPN tomorrow morning will cover this game, and the story will be, should the Cardinals have stuck with Kyler Murray? Because Kyler Murray is reactive and people talk about him, and it won't be about the Seahawks. It's a perfect storm of Sam Darnold seems kind of milquetoast to people, and Seattle. Here's the part I don't get. So I've referred to it as the supposedly sleepy Pacific Northwest. It's not like we're talking about – this isn't Topeka, Kansas here. This is a major metropolitan city has been in Super Bowls. This is not an expansion program. Like, I don't know why there's such a loathness and talk about this team. But when I see things like Boise State and the Seahawks, even as a guy in media, I'm like, I like it because I'm not operated to just cheer for the Cowboys all the time. I would love – you know what I want to see in the Super Bowl this year? I want to see people's heads explode when it's Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones and just eat it. Take it. I don't care. I want that.
You ever try to get here? It does take a while. I will say, it does take a while to get here. And just wait. Later today, 4:00 this afternoon, our time, Aaron Judge is going to end up winning the MVP over a more deserving Cal Raleigh because most of the people in that media had never heard of Cal or the Seattle Mariners either. So
it's truly brutal to get there, dude. I get that from New York. When we do this trip, we go see my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and their kids, and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to connect 6 times and and then I land. And I got to drive out to Maple Valley. It's tough, man. It's tough. Yeah. But it's easy to talk about them on TV. It's simple. Just talk about them. You won't bomb it. Just say the word Seahawk.
Can we get a couple minutes? You might be the most interesting man in the world, and we've never talked to you before. Sure. I don't know how often you give your resume. You're on, obviously, Good Morning Football with one of my favorite people, and Jamie Erdahl, who I just love. She's
a legend.
The best. But your story is insane. I mean, from going to an Ivy League school to the real world, to Days of Our Lives, to the Jim Rome show, to how in the world did you make that transition? Can you give us the 1-minute version of how the hell that happened?
It's a fair question. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. I always say my resume is weirder than yours. It's not better. It's just weirder. The short version, I grew up in the Chicago area. I got to play in the Ivy League. I played football. I played running back and kick returner in the Ivy League. When I was about to graduate, 3 weeks before graduation in 2001, The Real World came and did an open casting call right to my campus. I went to it. They picked me. It happened to be in my hometown of Chicago. I went on this 4-month acid trip called The Real World with Stop Being Polite, Stop Being Real. I moved to L.A., Days of Our Lives with Bo and Hope and Marlena and John. They're like, we want to give you a 3.5-year deal. I did it. I left the soap opera because I thought I was going to be Matt Damon or Chris Evans. Then I went broke and I lost my mind. And then I woke up one morning, I had checked my BlackBerry Curve, and I have an email from Jim Rohn being like, hey, I was reading your blog. It's some really good stuff. Do you want to meet? And then I worked in radio for Jim Rohn for 9 years. At the end of that, the NFL Network was putting together a new morning show. They're like, you seem kind of nuts and kind of like an X Factor. We could use you. You want to move to New York? And I said, sure. And I've been here ever since. That's the version.
How many times did you have to hear about the Rome family dog holocaust?
Dude, that's a deep cut Rome reference.
Well, when I first got into this business, I did sports updates for a 5,000-watt station in Boston that faced the ocean that no one could hear. Mike Felger, though, was the big afternoon host on that station, but I did morning updates during Jim Rome and during Cowherd, and I got to hear the story of the Rome family dog holocaust, I don't know, about 100 times, so I can't imagine how many times you'd hear it as the producer.
That always killed. And then you could talk about the Jim Rome rat family and the bum smack and all kinds of stuff. Dude, listen, I cut my teeth in radio. I was like the junior producer. And this is after I had been a soap star for 4 years. My first job in radio was screening text messages, not calls, not emails. We were just having the technology where you could text the show with your dumb Barry Bonds take, and I would screen them and give them to Rome, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Rack 'em. So you got Angry Run. You got Angry Runs. Is there a defensive version for Angry Runs? As long as you're a ball carrier. Angry Runs is ball carriers only. So there's been some guys who have won it after interceptions or fumbles. But why do you ask? What you getting at with the defense? I don't know. Just, for teams that have great – I mean, hitting seems to be kind of dead in the NFL. We don't hit the way they used to. Yeah. I mean, they do a little, but Brock, come on. It's not the way it was when we were growing up in the 90s. It's not the same thing. True. Is there a way to highlight – I don't know, like a similar vibe? Maybe I'm trying to bring it back around to the Seahawks and guys like Leonard Williams and guys like DeMarcus Lawrence who've really just kind of been on that bandwagon and just kind of what they're doing defensively, which seems to be kind of the direction the NFL is starting to turn again.
I know. And I love Ernest Jones. Like there are guys who could do it. And listen, you're onto something. I always look at Angry Runs as one of the final frontiers of like pure physicality in the NFL, and that's why I'm proud of it. I was raised on NFL Blitz VHS tapes and like the big hitters and all that crazy Chuck Cecil stuff. Like that's part of the reason I loved football. And we have rules in Angry Runs. Like if there's a penalty, we can't run it. If there's an injury, we can't run it. Because I mean, you guys remember as well as I do that the Jacked Up segment on ESPN was like the segment to watch back in the day, but it just got crazy because you'd get guys who were obviously injured and then they're hooting and hollering about them, so it had to go. We try to keep it above the line in Angry Runs, but it's a couple of my favorite guys. Like, first of all, everybody knows about Walker, and I love Walker. The one he did last year when he did like the front flip out of the tackle that was like some weird jiu-jitsu stuff that he was doing was all-timer. And then the guy that I've been championing since he entered the league is Charbonnet. Mm-hmm. Like, Charbonnet he's this nice, soft-spoken guy from Cali, and his last name sounds like a fine wine, but he just runs people the hell over. So they're always on the radar.
Last thing, Kyle, thank you so much for doing this too, and all the time. And folks in Maple Valley are going crazy. If you want to give a shout out,
not just Maple Valley, man. Our text line right now. I'm not fancy enough to have a screener like Jim Rome does, but just looking at the text line myself, it is very positive about Kyle Brandt right now.
Yeah. Hopefully we can do this. Hopefully we can do this again, maybe in a playoff kind of run. But just give me your forecast for Sunday. This is going to be, I think, a terrific matchup. Mirror images in so many ways. Really good organizations, top-notch development, great young players, great scheme. Mike Macdonald was brought here to beat Sean McVay, to disrupt this division. In talking to John Schneider, how does he do it if he can do it on Sunday?
It's such a good question, and it's the game of the week. And yet, I was just talking about this on Good Morning Football. The stakes of it feel a little bit low to me, and just hear me out. Like, they're going to do this game, then they're going to do it again, and there's a really good chance they'll do it a third time. And this season for the Seahawks is going to live and die with Sam Darnold late in the season. As much as I love him right now, and I got to meet him at the Pro Bowl last year. Oh my God, Seahawks fans. If you never got a chance to say hello to Sam Darnold at an event or something, I meet football players for a living. I have never met one who is kinder, more generous. My son was there. He was like an unbelievably nice person. And we'll see that means nothing in January where they're headed. Here's the deal. Last year with Minnesota, he puts up this great record against Detroit and against the Rams, both on the road. It's not just that he didn't look good. He looked overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. It looked like he wasn't up to the moment. So they win this game this weekend, great. But this season is going to come down to maybe winning a game in a place like Philadelphia, maybe winning a game in a place like Detroit. It's just that is how it's going to go. And it's not that Darnold's not going to be ready. It's just I don't want to see those passes getting sailed. I don't want to see him short-arming things. I think it got a little tense at the end of last year. He's been excellent, but there's so much more that he still has to prove, and he's going to prove it 6 to 7 weeks from now.
So was it instinct, or was it just that rugged running style? What made you such a dominant blueberry picker? As you now look back at it.
It's a great question because it's a nuanced art. You got to be able to dig deep into the branches because sometimes those real first-round talents, you got to go deep to the smaller programs, which are in the inner branches. All the outer branches are Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, and they're right there. There's nothing wrong with those.
Nope.
But I like guys from programs that maybe you have to do a little bit of digging for, and those are the blueberries that I want to go to war with.
Like it.
Well, we got to do this again. I got to tell you, man, that is a 17-minute just burst of energy that I would like a lot more of in our life. I know everybody loves you.
Thank you for having me on. I'm not kidding. And Brock, I remember being in college, and I think there was a weekend where it was you and Damon were starting in the NFL in the same week, and it was a big deal in the media, and that was the first time that had happened. And I was a senior in college playing football. I just remember thinking that was a really cool deal, and I've always admired you guys.
It's a good trivia question. Yeah, who were the first? Because there were the Mannings, there were the McCowns, there were the Hasselbacks. You
guys were first?
Who were the first?
Yeah. I've been working with you for 17 years. I don't think I realized that you guys were the first.
Come on, Salk.
What? I know all about where Brock went to elementary school and Ezra Meeker and Puyallup and the land of friendly people. Believe me, I know a lot of Brock Huard trivia, but somehow that one unfortunately escaped me.
You, man.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, this was awesome. We'd really love to do it again. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All
right, guys. You can see Kyle, of course, on Good Morning Football and now more on ESPN.